All right, guys. Hey, Paul McClain here. Welcome to the Monday Morning Wake Up Podcast. And let me just say this. I'm going to preface it with this. Go grab a pen and a piece of paper and lean in. The person I have on the podcast this morning, guys, it's somebody that's been the most influential person in my life, bar none, hands down. Well, Jesus and then Sean Mike. And, as far as the business, 8 years ago, we got together, and that was the best meeting I've ever had when you kind of opened my eyes, because I was clouded, dude. I was like, this is the best thing. I was making money giving at 19. This was working out all right. But you just kind of brought truth to the bag of lies that I had bought into. And at that point in time, I realized that, dude, like, this is a guy that when he stands for what's right, and then will never waver on what he stands for. And the last 8 years, the world has been exposed to that, and now Family First Life is on the way to a. And I sat back that day, looked at the leaderboard. I just stared at it for a minute, and I saw how many people were making over and dude, I was almost overwhelmed, just to be a part of the life change that I've had, but also watching how many families have changed their life because of the vehicle and the platform, the way it was set up from day one. And I think that's a true level of what you're passionate about, is what you sacrifice. You sacrifice your comp, everything to better the people that were joining, and other companies where it's at. So, dude, I just want to say thank you, first of all. Thank you for joining the podcast,
dude.
man.
I appreciate it. This is very exciting, Paul, because you're so good at these podcasts. Paul's so smooth. I don't want to screw this whole thing up. So, I watch. It was funny because somebody's like, "Did you see my training?" I'm like, "Dude, I watch every training. I may not watch it the exact, but I get to every single one of them." So I've been what you've done for the company doing these, because it's what's neat about the company is we want you to get on whatever you want to get on, right? Like, you do whatever you want to do. You're an independent person. But we've had this following of people going, man, that Monday morning deals has changed my life. And it's funny because everybody's talking about we should do something else. I'm like, well, I'm not going to do anything else, because that's not. I'm staying your strengths on. We all have strengths and weaknesses, and I'm like, Paul's always been able to articulate this business and make people feel good about what they're doing, and then see it very pragmatically. Like, when I saw you do sales training, what a lot of people don't know is we used to work at a company, and we would compete all the time. And Paul's really annoying because he would never stop, right? So, and I think I've shared this with you, but at the time, I would take the leaderboard every week, and I'd put it on my refrigerator. And that's weird stuff, old school now. I'd take a little magnet. It was a little whatever it was, magnet, real estate magnet. So I put up there. And it was every week we get these issue pay reports, whenever they came out, on Wednesdays or something, I think. And I'd get the report, and I'd be and I was trying to be number one that year. I was just trying to be number one. And Paul just it was he keeps hanging around and hanging around. It was like Matt Damon around us. I'm like, dude, he's got to go away. I'd issue for the week. He'd issue.
Well, dude, to your point, the handicap was you were part-time.
but still, I wanted to win, right? And I never forget, my son was like, who is this guy? And I don't even know how old he was. 6. And I was like, I don't even know this guy in California. And he's like, Dad, you can't let him beat you. And I'm like, oh, great. Now I got my kid on me. You know what I mean? But I've always had the utmost respect for you and what you do. And we had, early in the business, a lot of people don't know this, we came up with a consistency leaderboard. And I think it was an issue.
Yeah.
Okay. And we tracked how many weeks, because that was part of the issue for a lot of people when they start, is them being inconsistent. They're just not consistent. And I'm like, how can we combat that? So let's just start tracking leaderboard to see who issues week for the most weeks. And we stopped doing it because it got 2.5 years into it. You never missed it, and it was you're just Mr. Consistent. And it's not, as long as you'll keep working every single week, because it's an advanced business, so it's an unbelievable business. And to your point about the leaderboards, recently Mike Sizer gave me a leaderboard from our 4th month in business. And I just looked at it and I thought to myself, man, we had no idea what we were doing, but the things that haven't changed are we wanted to see people win. We were going to serve them. We're going to put them in a great position to win. We were going to be selfless about the way we ran the business. And we knew that if we did all that, it was going to work out for us. And even then, there's a couple people, and you look at what people are doing now. And Andrew and I were laughing the other day in a meeting because he said, I remember when, he would call me. He goes, I would call Paul, and Paul would tell me, people are going to quit because Sean keeps telling them they can write a week, and they're getting really frustrated. Yeah. Why is he saying that? And I'm like, I didn't say they had to do anything. But every single person that works here can do that. Yep. And then now you see people doing
crazy.
And that's not what we were knocking out a year was cool. paid was like, dude, we're crushing it. And again, I always joke with a lot of these guys that kill it, you know, Jonathan Porcina and Giordano and Easton and Jake and a bunch of other people that hit. And I'm like, I'd love to just like sell for a month and compete with them, you know, just like that part I miss.
You and me both.
I loved being in people's houses. I love talking to them. I love meeting their families. And so I'm just honored to be here. So thanks for having me, Paul.
Thank you, man. And, you know, going back to that, dude, I remember the things that you would say that I didn't necessarily believe right away. But as you continue to say it over and over and over again, my thought pattern started to shift where I was like, and then the evidence showed up and all these people were and I'm like, hell, I think he's right. And so, and then I started believing that because I believed it allowed me to help my people more because you can't really communicate and talk about what you don't believe.
Right.
And there's a lot of things. That's what I want to kind of unpack today. Some of these things that Sean, you would say, and it was just like, I held on to them. Like no matter what was going on, if we were going through litigation or things were going great, bad, indifferent, but just something I always went back to where I was like, all right, that makes sense. It gives me perspective. It puts things into relativity, and now I can move forward. And one of the things you said early on was like, and I heard it many times, was like, dude, why don't you just have some respect for yourself? And that just gave me some perspective. Like, let me slow down and take a look at, you know, where I'm at, the situation. Am I overly emotional about it? You know, what's my approach? And it changed the way I responded to different things I dealt with. And the funny thing is, man, like Natasha, if she was on here, she'd probably say thank you because I think we've got better kids because of that phrase, you know. Now my kids are, I'm like, why don't you have respect for yourself? And now they get it and they get them back and right. So we've got better kids because of some of these sayings. But when you say that, can you unpack like what the meaning of that is?
It's funny you say kids because my daughter's texting me, so you always go back to your kids, right? And I think what I looked at for me, Paul, was I never wanted to play down, meaning like I never thought that people were better than me. I didn't think I was any better than them. But I think if I could carry myself in the best possible way where every minute of every day I treated my result with respect, like I was going to work hard, whatever that was going to be, whether it was competing athletically, if it was taking care, help my mom out, if it was, you know, I had kids, taking care of my kids, whatever it was, I wanted to compete at a very high level. And I was always the hardest on me. So, like, for me, that was and my son, I'm sure I wore him out and young because I'd just be like, and he would sometimes look at me, I know, Dad, just have some respect for myself. And I'm like, you said it, not me. But I was always talking to me. Like, the person I've said that to the most by far in my life is me. It's not even close. I'm like, dude, come on. I said to myself, Sean, have some respect for yourself. Like, I just under my breath, I'm like, have some respect for yourself. Like, why don't you think you can do that? Why don't you think you can accomplish that? Why don't you think you can actually get there? Like, why do you think that? What are your limitations? And why are you limiting yourself? Like, why do you believe those things that were said about you? Why do you believe when people said you couldn't do things? You know, you talk about Jesus Christ. Like, dude, at the end of the day, there's nowhere in that book that says I'm supposed to play down to anybody. There's nowhere where it says I'm supposed to just, when it gets hard, give up. There's nowhere where it says I'm supposed to lose respect for myself, you know? And if you don't respect yourself, how's anybody else going to respect you? It's about being perfect? No, we're all imperfect, dude. I mean, like, if we weren't imperfect, this all wouldn't, like, God would sacrifice his son. If we're all supposed to be perfect, it wouldn't have mattered. I mean, at the end of the day, we're imperfect, and we're human beings, but on a regular basis, and that was always my thing, I think, in the insurance world, the way it translated insurance was, if you filled out a form, you needed my help. If you needed my help, I was going to do everything in the world I could to help you. Like, I was not going to let you down. Like, it was impossible. It wasn't going to happen. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, I just wasn't. And for me, I knew that if I carried myself at that level and people knew how serious I was about this, I would do really well. But it's funny. I read something the other day that said, if you coach, you'll impact more kids in a year than most people do in their lifetimes. And I'll have kids. I mean, now they're not kids. And they're like, hey, remember, you know, like I had a guy the other day. He's now getting hired with us. He just turned 18. And he's like, don't worry about it, Coach. When I get going, man, I'm going to have some respect for myself when I do this thing. And I was like, I like that, man. So, and I never meant it. It's not, I started with me. I think it always started with me. Like, it was what I said to myself. Like, I didn't feel like going to the gym. Like, come on, dude, you got to have some respect for yourself. Or I don't want to make those last phone calls. I do. Come on, Sean, you got to do that. Have some respect for yourself. Like, I was always, like, talking to myself that way. So I figured, why not talk to the people I cared about and share that with them as well.
I love that, dude. And for me, it's like even when I hear it, I almost look inside myself and ask myself, like, dude, what's my level of complaining, gratitude, just like who I think I am and who I need to be? Like, am I portraying that? Is this response going to portray the respect I should have for myself? And it's made a big difference, man. I love that. So the other one that I've heard, and that made a difference as far as just putting stuff into perspective, especially early on when, it didn't look the way it does now. Was like that you would say, man, but did you die?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it just gave stuff, or you'd even say, like, man, do you have terminal cancer? Kind of some of the same line. But can you kind of like unpack like that and the meaning behind that? Because to me, that's another phrase that I still live by today. I still bring it to my kids. It's something that guides them. And if they were on here today, they'd be like, yeah, Dad always says, like, but did you die? And every time. But can you kind of talk about that and what that means?
Yeah, I mean, I think, every day that we wake up, it is a blessing. Like, I know we say that, and people go, no, I understand it. And they see the meme or the quote, and they copy it, and they like it. But, dude, truly at the end of the day, every single day we have is a blessing. So you wake up, and especially for most of us who wake up and, arms and legs and health is, it's not, we're not terminal. Like, we're doing, like, I don't know, man. I was also a big believer in if you start complaining about stuff that is not a big deal, I don't want to get stuff to complain about because I'm already complaining. If you're already complaining, hell, might as well lump it on. Might as well get it all. And I guess for me, I just wanted to always, I heard Dave Anderson saying in training one day, somebody asked about mindset, and he said, I read something the other day, this is probably 5 years ago, that 155,000 people died yesterday in the world. And if I wasn't one of them, how in the world, and I wasn't, one of their family members, how in the world could I be so disrespectful to be complaining about the things that I don't need to complain about? So that was, perspective is a big deal for me. I kind of like, agents would be like, well, he didn't buy the insurance, he's broke. I'm like, nobody's broke in America. You ever left America? You've gone. We went to Fiji?
Yep.
You'll find some people that ain't got no money, man. You'll find them leaving. I mean, you see them. You've been a lot of those places. We took some of those trips, man. We've been to the Dominican. We've been places where people are there. It's a different world, But, our clients who have a phone and a residence and a car usually and a bank account and food. I mean, come on, bud. They're too broke. They didn't see the value. So I think that was the thing for me, too. I wanted to have that perspective for my clients. Like, okay, it's not great right now. I got it. But at the end of the day, we're doing this to prevent, like, when there is something to happen, it's going to happen. I don't want to be the one that didn't stand up for you. So that kind of has some respect for myself as I talk to myself. But did you die? That's just perspective because we all go through it. We have we think we have the market corner and having stuff. We all have stuff. I'm respectful of your stuff, and I want you to be okay, and life is good. But that's what we used to say about the stat. Mike Sizer, though, it was the three of us at the beginning. And I'd be like, you can complain on the way into work, like if there was like, he used to be like, yeah, if you kill somebody on the way into work. We used to laugh, like literally just have some perspective. Because also as you're complaining about stuff, what if you're complaining to a guy whose wife just got diagnosed with terminal cancer?
Sure.
You're complaining about leads or your car didn't run or some guy cut you off or you stubbed your toe or you may have hurt your back. Like, dude, seriously? You just never know who you're talking to. So I just kind of like, my whole thing is, how you doing? I go, I'm doing great, but I would never tell you if I wasn't. Couldn't be any better. There's no way every day, but it couldn't be any better. Couldn't be anybody. And tell you what, keep talking yourself into it. It couldn't be any better.
Well, dude, let's go there too, because that's something that I just started to say because I heard you say it so many times. So when I talk to somebody, they know, like they'd almost say before I said it because they thought it was funny because I'd always say I couldn't be doing any better. And I think that's such a great way to speak your way into it. I mean, words are powerful. When you say that, regardless of how you're feeling, it's going to bring out the best in you. It's going to help you elevate to the higher level. And it almost kind of takes you away from a possible tendency to complain if somebody's feeling that way. Because I think that's most the same, man. Like, and our soccer team is funny. Like, we came up with a rule, and it was a no complaining rule. And so if I had this guy come in, and he was kind of coaching the kids and giving them some feedback, and I said, ask them what their number one rule is and why. And he said, what's the number one rule? And that's all these 9-year-olds, right? That's
great.
They're like, it's our number one rule is no complaining. And he said, why? He said, because if you complain, it makes everybody want to throw up in their mouth, and that always sucks. He's dying laughing. The kids are dead serious, man. Yeah. And I got that from you and talking about that, man. And it's just cool to see. It's made a difference in a lot of these kids and it's myself, the agents, and I mean, this is the stuff that I'm telling you. Like, I really use it to guide me, and I think about it. But talk about like that response Because, dude, you said it every time I'd call you, man. And it's just a natural, like, almost, I don't know, common courtesy, pleasantry. Hey, how you doing, man? But your response was always consistent. And, dude, and I knew you weren't, I mean, because I was going through some of the stuff in the beginning, not figuring out leads, mail house burning down, I mean, there was just stuff, man. Like, we could easily focus on some on some negative. But it was always that same response. And even when sometimes I wanted you to say something different, you said that, and it kind of got my mind right. Talk about that, man, like, that response and how impactful that is.
Well, I think part of our job, if we're working with anybody, whether you're coaching, whether you're a parent, whether you're working with people, is do you want to be a positive light or a negative? I mean, like, what do you want to be? Like, when it's all said and done one day, a guy said to me, at your 80th birthday or your funeral, what are 3 things you want people to say about you? And certainly one of them isn't, I want them to say I was so unbelievably negative. I mean, and nobody likes it. We say in the corporate office all the time, if you don't like the way something's being done, find a solution. If there is no solution, then don't talk about it. If there's a solution, I'm in. Like, Sean, I don't like the way we're doing this. Can we try it this way? Done. It's not working. Let's try it. But I don't like the way we're doing this. What's your answer? I don't have an answer. So our best way to do it is do this. Yeah. Okay. How long do we talk about it? Like, how long do you? Because you understand how simple business is and how simply you can screw it up. Because take 25 minutes to an hour during your day to think about why you can't do something and to engage in conversations with people. And they go like, why aren't you realistic? I am realistic. They fill out a form. They all want help. As long as you call enough people, you're going to have a good week. It doesn't matter. Some weeks will be better than others. I agree with that 100%. If you recruit enough people, it's just all consistency. But at the end of the day, for me, I'm just, what an awful environment it is when it's just a bunch of people telling you what you can't do. And I'm also very cognizant, Paul, the mind's a very powerful thing. Very powerful. And I think that, you have to be really careful what you feed it. And if I choose to feed it, I've never been better, couldn't be better, never been better, man, and it's hard to beat me because that's where I always am, no matter what's going on. I mean, no matter what we're doing, you're right, no matter what. Whether it was, it's funny because somebody said to me the other day, Andrew said, what was the capital we started the company with? I said, $700. It's true. I had $700 in my bank account. And I said, but that's not the funny part. 4 years later, I had $700 in my bank account. You know what I mean? Like, or whatever it was. It wasn't any money. That's for darn sure. But it was like, you know what? We were doing the right thing. I felt good about it. I thought we were going to win. Actually, I knew we would win. And some of the things we talked about being a household name within 10 years. We didn't mean like everybody in the Americas know who we were, but if you were in the insurance industry, we thought the majority of the people would know who we were, at least have heard of us. And we'd do a year within 10 years. It looks like we're going to do it within 9. So I think those things for us from a positive mindset standpoint, when this requires no talent. And again, I think when you're in something, the argument is, well, practice, beats talent when talent doesn't practice. Dude, that's not true. It's not. Michael Jordan can walk in here in his jeans, and you and I can practice every day for the next 2 years, and we can have John Wooden come back to life, and he can coach us, and Popovich can coach us, and we can do everything we want. And Jordan's going to take you and I 1-on-2 and beat the garbage out of us. It's not even going to be close. Yep. And he ain't practiced at all. So don't give me that. When something requires talent, this requires no talent. So the positive mindset, well, it's helpful when something requires talent because when you're of equal talent. But we're actually in an industry that requires no talent. So if I know that positive mindset and work ethic will put me on top, why would I not want to do that? It'd be easy to get down if it required talent. It'd be easy to get down if it required intellectual capacity. You're like, hey, now you're on Jeopardy. I'm like, oh, great. Like, I don't really care about half the stuff. I wouldn't even know most of the columns. Like, I wouldn't. And that's easy to get negative because it does require talent. And it's easy to get down, even though you shouldn't. But when it doesn't require any talent, why would you ever put yourself in that position?
I love that, dude. Do you mind if we do a part 2 to this?
No, dude.
Because I got one more, that I think we get in today, and then I've got like 5 more.
Done. We can do part 3, 5, whatever you want. You're in charge.
Because this is great. It's been unbelievable. So the one thing when you were talking about like the $700 and $700 in your account 3-4 years later, it just popped in my head. The only other person I really know that did it like that, because FFL is the biggest business in America. Second biggest business in America is probably Andrew Taylor.
The life insurance side. Yep.
So I remember going to his house. I mean, he's 18 at the time, and he's making. Yeah. And he has no carpet. Now, to be clear, like when you become an adult, a lot of times it's easier to understand, like I can't just go spend money. He was 18 and he had no carpet. And I was like, dude, where's your carpet at, man? He's like, what do you mean? He's like, I'm going to get it eventually. And I said, this is before Nicole, before Tasha. I said, what do you tell the girls when they come over? He said, man, I just tell them it's underneath construction. Well, dude, like a year later, I'm at his house kicking it. I'm like, dude, you still don't have no freaking carpet, bro. Like, what are you telling these girls? He's like, I just tell them it's a long construction project, you know? But it was that whole like, and I got this from you early on, and you would say like, dude, is that decision a big picture decision or small picture?
Correct.
Can you kind of talk about that as we wrap up? Because I think that's a great way to kind of park into the next one.
Yeah, I think the problem is when you're raised or brought up in or indoctrinated or educated where most of the people are thinking day by day and they're just trying to get by, check, which is what most people do. That's okay. I don't judge nobody, and I don't want to be judged. But when you live in that, it's really hard to have big picture thinking because it's like, okay, like we launched a company and okay, everything's going okay, we have some volume. I didn't think about buying a new house. I didn't. It's 2 bedrooms. I got it. 2 kids. I have 2 kids, 2 bedrooms. I get it. It wasn't ideal. I had a couch. I had a car with, 267,000 miles on it. That when a deer ran out in front of me and it actually kept running. I hit the deer.
Antifreeze over
Honda Accord, dude. I kept running that thing though. But when it finally was done, it wasn't worth anything. Big picture stuff for me was I wanted to make decisions in my life outside of money. I wanted to be able to be in a position with my kids, charity, whatever it was, where I could make decisions not thinking about money. That's what I wanted to do. So big picture stuff was, do I really need to do this today? No, I don't. And you open a business for one of 3 reasons. A lot of people open a business because they think it's cool. Seriously, they want to be an entrepreneur because they think it sounds cool, sounds great, cool, whatever you want. It sounds dope, it sounds great, sounds cool. Oh my God, that's fire. I can't believe this. They think it's cool. They think it's a great thing. I didn't open a business for that reason. Mm-hmm. A lot of people open it just to make money. I didn't open it for that reason either. Of course I wanted to make some money as well, but I opened it because I wanted to change lives. And I think bigger picture stuff, when it's about more than you, it changes. But when it's about just you, it's hard for everything around you to change because it's purely just about you. And people know, by the way. So people are like, how you tell him that? And he didn't get mad at you. I'm like, he knows I actually care. Like I told him, and he genuinely knows I care. Mm-hmm. He knows I'm serious about I want him to do well. You're saying that he doesn't know if you care. He thinks you just want him to sell so you make some money. So I think, Paul, for me, the big picture deal was if we kept working hard and doing right by people, it was going to work. I'm not going to preach. Y'all got a church here. I'm not qualified to preach. Believe me. Pray for me. Somebody said to me the other day, can you pray for me? I'll take all the prayers every day from everybody that wants to. So I'm in. Please have at it. Everybody has my permission to pray for me as much as you want. And but at the end of the day, I think it's one of those things where there's decisions I've made in the business that I don't even know why I made them, and they ended up being really good. And I gotta believe because we've done the right thing that and everybody believes in what they believe, and I judge nobody. But God's got our hand on the business. And I'm not saying that. A lot of people say that to say it, and they don't believe it because they don't really care about people. Which I would be careful leveraging God if you're lying about it. Just be really careful, and that's a bad move on your part. But at the end of the day, for us, we've made decisions that haven't made any sense, but they've worked. Or I look back and go, dude, I didn't even know what I should do in that situation, and I just reflected on it. People prayed on the whole deal, and then boom, it went good. And you think about the company. One of the things people used to say about us was they won't last 3 or 4 years. They're not making enough money to stay in business, and that was probably the only thing they said about us that was true. We did, obviously, but I said if we make it 3 years, they're all so screwed. Because we're going to just throat stomp them. And that's what we're doing. We're throat stomping them. So if you don't work with us and you're being throat stomped, come work with us. It's right, better than being throat stomped. I mean, I'm just saying, at the end of the day, we're going to pay you more and you don't have to go. All the things that you do because we want to see you win. And we didn't launch it to make X amount of dollars. We launched it to change people's lives. And when that's your focus, that whole 80th birthday of your funeral, I wanted people to say I was selfless, that I was humble, that I could do good and not think I'm great, and that I was fearless. I'm terrified of God appropriately, but other than that, I don't care at all. No fear in the world. It's not about being anybody or being big and bad and tough. You're a 10th degree black belt. You kick me in the head 3 times, it's going to suck for me. I got it. But I'm not afraid. You know what I mean? And I think that's getting people to understand that concept is, and I think a lot of people want to know how to proceed and be fearless, and they want to feel like you're in their corner. And that's big picture stuff. So you'll make sacrifices if you know in the future, hey, I can get here if I'm willing to sacrifice these 2, 3, 4 things. And I think it's hard to get the reward you want without the sacrifice. Yeah. I don't know that you'll get it. So
Well, I appreciate it, man. This has been unbelievable, dude. And I just want to thank you, man. Like, on top of the platform that everything's been put in place, like, you've always been the person that can take the truth and then package it in love, because it is the truth. It's necessary. It's needed. It's essential. I need to hear it. But it's also packaged in the fact that I know that you care. And I think that everybody on here, if you want to become the best version of who you are, what God created you to be, you need to find somebody like that, man. I think too many people are surrounded around people that just kind of make them feel good, make them think everything's okay. And sometimes things are not okay. And a couple years back, man, it wasn't okay in my business. There was things that I needed to tweak and adjust, and there was better in me, and I want to be better. I want the best version of myself. Right. And if you never had that conversation and smashed that Mountain Dew, bro.
That Diet Mountain Dew. Remember that? I was fired up because I wanted you to win.
I know.
I love you so much. I'm like, dude, if you'll just make these tweaks. And I didn't mean to smash my Diet Mountain Dew, but it blew up in my hand.
You had to sacrifice one.
I had to sacrifice one. I've only had 8.2 million in my life, so that was okay. But I want to say, and I think sometimes the answer to people is it's not going to be okay.
Right. Yeah.
If you don't change, it's not going to be okay. And it's okay to say that. Like, dude, if you don't change what you're doing, it's not going to be okay. As long as you understand that, like, I don't want to lie to you, it's not going to be okay. And they go like, what's going to be okay? No, you keep doing the same thing day after day, week after week, month after month. Your mindset's not right. You're not working hard enough. You're not getting leads. You're not finding enough people. You're not recruiting. You're not trying. You're negative. Whatever it is, if you continue that, it's not going to be okay. Yep. And I think it's fair to say that to people.
Yeah. I think you need to find people that could say that to you. I think you need to be the person that says it to certain people based on your business, man. And,
I agree.
And things all grow. So, guys, like this, share this. This is one that you definitely want to share. I think everybody wants to make a difference in others' lives, and sometimes a simple share is going to do that for the people around you. So thank you for being on today. Appreciate you guys. Comment below. And until next week, guys, make it a massive week. Take care. Bye-bye.
What is going on, guys? We are giving away, once again, $250 in lead credit. If you commented on last week's video, which is playing right here, you're automatically entered to win $250 in free leads. So what are you doing right now? Go comment. We'd love to pick your name next week, right before National Convention. It's going to be awesome. Without further ado, let's see who won free leads this week. Tyler Biedebach, 2.5 months, and I'll be pulling up with Nick Ayala, Legacy Groups Convention 2022 in Miami. Let's go, team. Looking forward to seeing and meeting you all there. Super stoked for you, Tyler. You just won $250 worth of leads. Guys, it's that simple. Tyler, go ahead and call Victoria, get in touch with her. She'll get you your leads. Her number's going to be right here. And the rest of you guys, leave a comment. It's that simple, and you can win $250 in leads, which could blow your business up like crazy. Can help more families, do more business, and make a greater difference. So we'll see you guys next week. Take care.